Morning, everyone. Rob Lukey with our Capital Group. Wanted to go over our upgrade that we've just recently uh, done and give you guys a chance to at least take a look at it. Let's assume that when you log into your account, obviously the first thing you're going to do is come to your dashboard. But let's say you search for available properties and you picked hot properties and you came down to one that looked interesting. Let's say this one, opening bid 120,000. OCG has it valued at 175. Estimated profit of 42,000. That might be something that I'd be interested in bidding on. So now that I've done that, and again, one of the things that obviously the options are is that you simply can have OCG recommend these potential investments to you. You say yes, and we do everything else. But let's assume you decided you wanted to go on and look at each property. This was one in particular that you wanted to bid on. You could either decide to bid on 100% of it, or you could go ahead and click here and use our MaxMatches program. On MaxMatches, what it allows you to do is it allows you to bid on a percentage of the property. So, for example, I can set, and I'll go over each of these. I can set a minimum exposure on the property. This is, let's say I set of 10%, and a maximum exposure of 20%. What you're telling OCG at this point is you're saying, hey, I want to at least have at least own 10% of this property, and my maximum exposure is going to be 20%. You can decide what your max bid would be. Let's make the assumption that you say, you know what, value on this is 100. Its opening bid's 120. Estimated profit after estimated selling expense and carrying cost. If there's a rehab cost or estimated rehab cost, that'll be there as well. And let's say, I'd still like to net out 30 out of this property, so I'm willing to go up to $130,000, let's say. And I click $130,000 and I say match OCG bid. In this situation, what you've done is that you've told OCG, buy me 10%, at least 10% of this property. If I can't get at least 10%, I don't want any of it. And with a maximum exposure of 20%, and I want my maximum bid of $130,000. You could also turn this into 0 and simply click no maximum bid, and with this same order all being the same would say match OCG's bid to whatever they're buying it at. So whatever OCG decides to purchase that property for, where I want to be involved with it as well. When you click on agree to selling terms, you're agreeing to the selling terms of your current contract that you have with our Capital Group, and you can review that on your own. What this also will do is that just let you know all MaxMatch orders are filled on a first in, first filled basis. And what that means, and remember, customer orders will always take priority over our Capital Group's orders. But what it will do is, for example, let's say 5 people put in this exact same order, minimum exposure of 10%, maximum exposure of 20%, with an OCG max the opening bid with no maximum. Those 5 people, if they put it in let's say those 5 people put it in, they would be first be filled on the order. Okay, so that's how that works. If, for example, let's say OCG's max bid on this particular property was $131,000, and somebody else had a max bid of $135,000, right? So they were over the OCG bid. In that situation, they would actually be ahead and actually would be filled accordingly because OCG wouldn't be purchasing that property at that time. Anyhow, I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. Bottom line is what it enables you to do is go ahead and submit what your minimum and maximum exposure on any particular property is. Hope that helps. Take care.